This species of ram is associated with the sun god Amun. It is similar to a 25th dynasty statue of Amun protecting the pharaoh Taharqa. Erwin Winterhalter, a Swiss Rosicrucian artist, created this sculpture of the god Amun, as well as a number of other sculptures that can be seen around Rosicrucian Park. Winterhalter was well known for his piece, The End of the Trail, which was displayed at the 1915 San Francisco Pan-Pacific Exhibition.
One of the most important aspects of life to the ancient Egyptians was the family. Children were reared, loved, and taught a trade. The old were cared for by their descendants and upon death were buried reverentially, ensuring them eternal life. Through their customs and ritual practices, the Egyptians gained a sense of control over a seemingly chaotic and unpredictable world. Bes and Tauret were two of the most important gods of the home, honored for their role in protecting the family. Bes, protector of the helpless, was often represented as a dancing and bearded dwarf, waving rattles or knives in order to ward off evil. The hippopotamus Tauret was the guardian of expectant and new mothers, helping to see both mother and child through the difficult birthing process. When a woman of Egypt gave birth, it was often in an outdoor arbor, similar to this recreation. Rather than lying down on her back, a woman would give birth squatting upright, with her feet on two bricks which acted as a birthing chair. Professional midwives assisted with the birth, although if there were complications, an obstetrician would be called to the home. The walls of the arbor were decorated with vines of medicinal value. When a tea was made of them, the mixture stopped hemorrhaging. In our model, you can see the figures of Bes along the walls at the foot of the bed, warding off evil or bad luck. The weaving rack atop the bed would keep the expectant mother occupied during her pregnancy. Once the baby was born, the mother and child were isolated for about 14 days. Once the period of isolation was over, there was a celebration in the family and in the village. The women of the community came to the arbor and adorned the new mother with cosmetics. Her hair was braided and decorated. Elaborate jewelry was placed on her body. Perfumes anointed her, and she was ready to go outside. All of these cosmetics and decorations were to demonstrate that she was re-entering the protection of Hathor, the familiar goddess of love and beauty. In one arm, she held her new baby, and in the other, a mirror, a sign of fertility, because the name for the mirror sounded like the word for life, Ankh. A villager dressed like Bes would dance about, shaking the rattle in protection. This was the time the baby's fortune would be given by women acting out the role of the goddess Hathor, and the baby might be officially named at this time. The baby entered the protection of Bes, and the mother had the dual goddesses of Hathor and Tauret as her protectors.
Birthing room. After the period of isolation, the mother and child would be welcomed into the community with a great celebration. The new mother, carrying a mirror, would be made up and dressed in an elaborate wig, necklace, and girdle. Perfume would be placed on her hair. A villager dressed as Bes would dance wildly, frightening away evil spirits. The child would probably be named at this time, which was between 7 and 14 days after birth. This model of a birthing room is based on several fragmentary archaeological examples, mainly from the sites of Deir el-Medina and Tel al-Marna, as well as some surviving artwork. Obelisk of Shalmaneser III. The lower register shows people from the land of Musert bringing tribute to Shalmaneser III, but we do not know for sure which country Musert was considered a part of. The piece was cast at the British Museum in 1936. This obelisk would have been one of the first pieces cast there, since in 1936, casting responsibilities shifted to the British Museum from the Victoria and Albert Museum. Cast obtained in 1936 from the British Museum, RC 745. This statue is very rare. It is one of 7 in the world identified as the most famous queen of Egypt, Cleopatra VII. Cleopatra VII was born into a Macedonian family called Ptolemies, who were famous for their vicious infighting. Matricide, patricide, and fratricide were common in many generations, including Cleopatra VII's. She had several relatives killed so that she might live. For generations, the Romans coveted Egypt, a bountiful source of grain that they could use to feed their army. They used the fighting in Cleopatra's family as an excuse to send an envoy to Egypt, Julius Caesar. The Romans expected Caesar to choose someone who would be friendly towards the Roman Empire to be Egypt's new pharaoh. However, Julius Caesar was charmed by Cleopatra's wit, intelligence, and brought her back to Rome as his lover. He supported Cleopatra as she struggled against her sister Arsinoe for the throne of Egypt. Unfortunately, Caesar was murdered on the Senate steps, and Cleopatra fled back to Egypt. The next envoy to Egypt was Mark Antony, a friend of Caesar's. Antony also fell in love with Cleopatra, and together they fought against Rome until they were defeated and Cleopatra was captured. She committed suicide, probably so she could not be dragged through the Roman streets in shame. Many of Cleopatra's statues were destroyed by the Romans after she died. Her pose is classic Egyptian, probably meant to remind the Romans that her family had ruled Egypt as pharaohs for 3 centuries. However, her face is done in the Greco-Roman style. The triple uraeus snake symbol on her brow is rare and helped to identify this statue as Cleopatra VII. This statue was broken below the ankles and the feet were later restored using another material. At the rear of the statue is a support called a plinth. A strip in the center of the plinth would have held names and titles, but this area has been filled in. 30 BCE, granite diorite, RC 1582. Alright, I hope you guys are enjoying the video so far from our trip to the Rosicrucian Museum. This is a model of a Tel Al Marna estate. And one thing that strikes me about this model, you think back to how the ancients were living at this time, and it's so interesting. It reminds me of like an episode of Cribs, royal ancient style or something. Look at this large estate. You see many rooms, the inner half, the outer half, complete with bath houses and inner sanctum. It just reminds you or lets you know that, in ancient times, people were living lavish since the beginning of time, quite frankly. There's always been certain types of class systems where people can just, even if it's just a chosen few, live in the class. Look at that right there, where I'm not sure if that's like a temple on the estate premises or what, but it just makes you think lets you know that not just in our modern era, but during the course of time, that people live lavishly. So check out this model of a Tel Amarna estate and continue to enjoy. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. AM Dynasty. Vase. Simple vases like this were placed near Persian graves. This vase was discovered at Susa, capital of the Elamite Empire. Nearby is a tomb attributed to the biblical Daniel. The tomb is a popular destination for Iran's Jewish community. Date unknown. At Shush, Daniel. Clay, RC 1886. Pottery, pitcher, and terracotta bowl. Marlik was most likely chosen at the site of a great cemetery because it was a site of religious importance. Izzat Allah Nagabin, the grandfather of modern Iranian archaeology, excavated the site during the early 1960s. 1000 BCE at Marlik, clay terracotta. Sword, spearheads, and arrowhead. Spears were ideal weapons for infantry soldiers. The further away you stood from your prey or opponent while attacking, the more likely you were to survive. Arrows were the next logical extension of this idea. 1000 BCE at Redbar, Bronze. Bronze daggers. The first dagger you see here has a Sumerian-style handle in the shape of a fish and was discovered in the Lorestan province of Iran. The rest were found near the city of Redbar in Iran's Stilin province. C. 900 BCE at Lorestan, Redbar, Bronze. Axe head and matlock. These are the bronze heads of an axe and matlock, both of which were agricultural tools. In times of danger, they could have served as improvised farmers' weapons. A matlock is a pickaxe-like tool used for breaking ground. 1000 BCE, bronze. Bronze owls or hairpins. These items from Marlik may have been hand tools or pins to hold hairstyles in place. Following a government change in 1962, Iranian archaeologists were forced to abandon the site. Many artifacts were stolen by looters shortly thereafter. 1000 BCE at Marlik, bronze. Glass bracelet and cylinder seal. This fine bracelet is made of spun glass. Beside it is a stone cylinder seal, like those in the case across the gallery. Although seals were important for authorizing documents, they were also worn on necklaces as jewelry. 1000 BCE at Marlik. Spun glass stone. Bronze fragments and pottery shard. Most but not all of the artifacts excavated at Marlik were found in pristine condition. Marlik may have been abandoned shortly after the cemetery was created. These are fragments from the bronze and clay pottery which did not survive intact. 1000 BCE at Marlik, bronze. Persian padlock. As soon as there was wealth to protect, there was a need to invent ways to protect it. This very advanced ancient bronze padlock in the form of a lion comes from Mesopotamia's next-door neighbors, the Persians. Today Persia is called Iran, 700 CE, bronze. Spoons, bells, and ornaments. These bronze items were found near Marlik, Iran. Artifacts similar to those at Marlik were found at Sailk in southern Iran. Although they date from a slightly later period, the people from Marlik may have relocated there. 1000 BCE at Marlik, bronze. Middle Kingdom model of a warboat. The men with this boat model are prepared for battle. Note the cowhide shields, sewn with sinew in the center of the boat. The artist even made sure to paint the stitches in the shields. Arrows and bolts are stored between the shields. Dynasty 2, wood pigment, RC 1518. All right, thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed part 2 of our trip to the Rosicrucian Museum. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to my channel on your way out the car, and we will see you on the next one. Field trip to the Rosicrucian